Welcome back to Inbox Attack. I'm Nate Wright, and today we're going to kick off an entirely new series of Inbox Attack, digging into the hero's journey. Now, the hero's journey is, well, put simply, it could be a bit complicated. It was originally put together by a man named Joseph Campbell, who was a famous mythologist who looked at stories from cave paintings all the way to modern times and looked at common elements in it and found the common threads and built what is this called the monomyth. And the hero's journey is part of that monomyth. And just the typical steps that a hero goes through to go on their adventure, and things happen and they come home. All right. Now, his version's hard. There's an easier version available that you'll see often in movies where the hero will, and I'll go through the basic steps here. So the hero is in their ordinary world. It may be comfortable, it may be uncomfortable, but there's something that happens or somebody that comes into the scene. It's like, hey, you should go on this adventure. You should go on this road trip. You should go get the girl or ask that guy out or whatever. Now, in typical hero's journey, the hero is going to be like, nope, not going to do that. Well, a mentor comes along and is like, you know what? I've been through this before. I think this is an amazing journey for you to go on. So I'm going to give you some help. I'm going to help you get through the harder parts. Then they're like, all right, fine. Then they cross the threshold from the old world into their new world. And the new world, it's scary. It's different. It's uncomfortable for the hero. They end up usually meeting some allies. They meet their sidekick. They encounter villains. They have battles and tests. And in a romantic comedy, it may just be all the mistakes they make when dating or not dating. But there's the shenanigans that happen there. Then there's some sort of a cave scene where the hero, the central character of the story, is like, oh my goodness gracious, all my friends are gone, my mentor's gone, my allies are gone. Now I'm facing my biggest fear in this cave. And in order to get the elixir, this something that's going to help me on my journey and actually make all of this worth it, make it doable, I need to defeat this big evil beast, this dragon. It may be a confidence issue. It may be standing up to an ex. It may be all sorts of different formats. They get in the cave. They beat the bad guy, beat the bad version of themselves, and they end up with some sort of elixir, some sort of reward. So they grab the sword in the stone. He actually physically pulls it out of the stone. Then he takes it back to the old world. Now, in this case, the old world is going to look different in different films and different TV shows and different stories, typical stories. Different things happen when the hero takes this elixir, this sword, and takes it back to the old world. In some cases, it's a very dramatic thing, like a resurrection. In some cases, it's called, or a rebirth. They shed the old self and bring in the new self. So that's that in a nutshell is the typical hero's journey. Now, the easiest way to look at this is Star Wars. George Lucas was a huge, huge fan of Joseph Campbell and of mythology in general, of the old stories, the Odyssey. And he applied that framework throughout Star Wars. So if you actually go through Star Wars, go back to this original slide, it's like, hey, Luke, we need your help. But it's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay here in my life. I can't be a hero. And then Obi-Wan comes in. It's like, dude, you need to go on this thing. And then the stakes are raised, and it thrusts him into this new world. It thrusts him from the desert world into space. And he meets different allies. Han Solo, Chewbacca. He meets the villain, Darth Vader, the Emperor. His own fear is probably the biggest villain in that story. And the very, end of it, he has to fight Darth Vader. And he has to fight the villain. And he fights the villain by himself. That's his cave scene. And in that case, he isn't taking something physical. There is a part where he actually gets his lightsaber. But in that particular film, it very much has to do with he finds the Force. The Force is his source. That is his reward. So then he takes that back to the Resistance and is able to save the universe. But he's forever changed in that too. So his old world that he goes back to is very different because he is so different. All right, so how in the hell does all this stuff apply to business? First and foremost, now please write this on your forehead, write it on Post-it notes, just hammer it into your soul. It is not about you. In the hero's journey, this common story, everyone wants to be a hero, right? It's like in our DNA. That's one of the reasons that the monomyth even exists, is that it's very much part of our human nature. But when you're selling something, you're trying to convince someone to click on something or buy something or sign up for something or to do something out of their comfort zone, it is not about you. You are not the hero in their story. Your job when you're using an email, using messaging, using words, something that comes out of your mouth, is to convince them that they could be a hero in their own story. And that you are there as the mentor, as the Obi-Wan character, to take them through their journey, which in this case is to actually buy something from you. Their cave scene is when they open up their wallet. The elixir is your product or the service. Villains could be competitors. It could be people in their department. It could be all these different things. It is not about you, though. The customer is the hero. Customer is the hero. You're the mentor / ally, either a Han Solo character or an Obi-Wan character or a Yoda character. The elixir could be a lightsaber. It could be the Force. So it could be learning something, or it could be an actual product, service or product. And they're eventually going to have to take that back and use it in their lives. All right. So right way and wrong ways to do this. So the wrong way to do it is make the hero your offer. Oftentimes people aren't that self-centered. It's like, I'm going to change your life. Maybe life coaches and motivational speakers. So they have to tread lightly there. But the hero is not the offer. The hero is your prospect, the person you want to act on this new message or this new thing. That's the hero. So when you're writing, be very cognizant of that. Secondly, the villain is not their ignorance. It's like, it's not your fault you don't know about this amazing thing. It's not your fault that, that you're the villain in your own story. No, the villain is typically competitors. Sometimes the biggest competitor to your product or service is not the competition. In some cases, it could just be the incumbent. It could be whatever they're doing now. And that's the concept of the old world. The old world is something that they're doing now. So when you think of it that way, be thoughtful and mindful of who the real villain is in their story. Who is going to make it difficult for them to achieve that happiness or that success or that change in value. Also, one of the things I see all the time, especially in cold emails, is there is no mentor involved. There is no guiding hand. Anthony Honorino, who runs the salesblog.com, really good dude. He's helped me a lot over the years with getting my head right about sales. He uses the phrase trusted advisor. That you need to be a trusted advisor in this process and have earned that trust, typically from other people. And your job is to help them get where they need to go, not to sling a product. The product is just part of the process. It's something that fits into their life. And the elixir is not your promotion. It is not a discount code. It is not, buy now before it's too late. It's not, I only have 3 slots available in my workshop. No, the elixir is just your product. This is your service. Whatever it is that you're slinging is the elixir. So this whole process and framework, and we're going to go into every single component of all the different archetypes and characters in the hero's journey, as well as all the different phases of the hero's journey, specifically to get you out of the highly ineffective mindset of making it all about you or all about your product. This is about how your product or service is going to alter the course of this person's life, alter the course of how they do business, what they do business with, how they live their lives, how they, their pathway to happiness in some cases, depending upon what it is you're selling. All right. So as always, if you have any questions at all about the material we're going over, email david@inboxattack.com. Don't spell it like it's spelled there, which is spelled totally wrong, I'm just noticing. But anyways, email your questions to david@inboxattack.com. Cheers.